personal thoughts, but it's kind of stuck with me.
What do you mean that we couldn't do the extension if we did that? Because I
If we
thought,
did the pergola,
yeah.
you wouldn't have enough room to put an addition on.
Well, but the plan, that's why I brought it up last
Yeah,
time. that
I
the
know you
plan-
did, that's why I went and looked at it.
But you said the pergola would restrict that.
Right.
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
I'd say that pergola, which they're telling me it has to go down 6 feet.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, little coyote wandering around.
A coyote?
Wow, he's a big one.
It's a big one.
Wow.
It looks pretty healthy too.
Yeah, he does. Looks as though he got his dinner.
Wow. I didn't realize, I thought there were more silver than that, more gray.
So that's what I was coming up with.
Well,
I just thought it-
that was my original
about.
concern. And you said that wasn't a problem. So what's going
Well,
on?
where I got was, to be honest with you, I got hung when they said they have to go down 6
6 feet, yeah.
and put these big things in and all this, and I'm like, why? I had the biggest urge to go call a company and say, do you have to go down 6 feet?
What's the problem with 6 feet?
It's just, you're going to be pouring cement, you're going to go down there. So now what happens if you want to tear it down so you can put the addition on there?
Again, tearing it down, I thought that the addition could happen with that up.
Right, my understanding is the addition is going over the the pergola is going over the patio. The addition would be to the left of the patio and it would go out that way. So from what my understanding is, and from the plans that it looked like for their second phase, it's going to go out from the other side of this door, out that way and up. It's not going to affect the patio. That's what I was
Okay,
under the impression of.
that, I didn't know that, so I just brought it up just because it just
Well,
stuck.
I'm worried about that too.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be addressed in what we're gonna get on the plan?
Yes.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
But again,
We
I
can
have,
talk to Glenn about that when he.
but I think we need to see the plans for the extension as well
Right,
and verify that. That would kill it.
thank
We
Couple of-
definitely have to be able to do the extension.
Thoughts? I think it's important from an elder care perspective that we really address down the road, not only potential to expand, because ground level property is a hot ticket, right? The stuff on the second floor is less desirable for people who are mobility impaired and dropping off and picking up. The second thing is many of these elder cares are very lucrative, therefore they're run privately. They're not typically attached to a government agency because there's money to be had in them. So lots and lots of corporations, both nonprofit and for-profit, glam on to daycare for elders. And then the third thing to note is that this is particularly hard on families who have no money, have no resources for caregiving. I'm certainly sympathetic to executives, but I'm also terribly sympathetic to people who have no caregivers, who have 60 hours a week extra to care. So I think this is an issue that affects everyone
yeah,
across the spectrum.
great.
Thank you.
Down the line, if we do choose to do this, it is becoming, from what I understand, it is becoming more and more common to do this. Marshfield, Duxbury, Situate all have social day. They're not the medical model, they're social day. And it is less expensive. I believe it's like $35 or $40 a day for, instead of the 80 for profit making businesses. So we would certainly look into that and find out what exactly it all entails and how we would make it so that it at least has to be self-sustaining, I would imagine. But that's really down the line, but I think we can make it
Cool.
work.
And it might be more appropriately staffed rather than what is going on now, that I suspect is that there are elders who are, and adults who are dropped here and may or may not have more needs, perhaps some days, than our staff can attend to.
Sure.
And that would be better to have the appropriate level of staffing if we're doing it anyway. I'm just guessing, but I'm way over my skis right now, but I'm guessing that these elders already exist here.
Yes.
So social care is just a day program
Right,
in
it's,
these other schools?
it's, right,
towns?
it does, it won't have a nurse or anybody to
Yeah.
give medicine or oversee that part of it, but it is really just to keep someone, who is probably not safe by themselves during the day. Maybe their, caregiver works during the day and they need somebody to just kind of watch them, keep them socialized during the day. So it's called social day and not an adult day health.
A lot of them do
Marshfield.
a lot, as I understand, they do little projects
Right.
to service the community or,
Yep. So it keeps them fit stimulated
Yeah.
during the day and they talk about events of the day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I have not walked through Marshfields, but I've walked through Duxbury's. I think there's the first one that I've noticed. When they first built their new center, they added that. Marshfield did it when they just added for their new phase, I believe it was that. And Situate, with their new center, they have, it's not very big. I don't think they have very many patrons, but it's something.
Well, I think if we were to go that direction, I think we should hire medical personnel.
I think that would be another,
that's another whole.
That's a whole.
Well, I mean, I don't think we'd want to do it with the current staff, obviously. I
Oh, no, we
agree
have
that
to
we
hire.
need.
No,
Have to have
Remember
separate
that.
staff, but
Yeah.
I don't think we'd want to get into the medical business.
Well, not
I
the medical
know.
business, but I just want some sort of, protect liability and have people here that can address things immediately.
yeah, complete separate staff
Right.
just for the
Right.
social.
Yeah.
Well, I
care.
mean, maybe it's one person. I don't know about.
Well, there's.
I'm sure there are
ratios.
regulations for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
And you
I
might-
bet there's a demand for that already.
Yeah.
We don't even
Yeah,
address.
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
And there's
Don't even
probably
know how-
vendors out there that do this on a
Sure.
lease basis.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
you just, like the town was going to do with the new town hall they proposed to run that real estate.
Do we have an idea how much the new extension would cost?
I
I don't know.
How big was it supposed to be? How many, compared to this, is it a third again the size or,
I don't really honestly remember.
okay,
I had a feeling it was more like a quarter.
okay,
I'm not sure. Space is the issue.
Yeah.
And when they say going out towards the sidewalk, they can't even go really right to the sidewalk.
I don't, just on the surface, I don't see any need for this pergola, but,
Well, let's walk through it,
yeah.
see where it goes. I think that's.
And Glenn
that's
said
an
next
intelligent
month?
thing.
No, he said
Last month.
last month.
No, I know, but I thought.
No, didn't he
He
just?
said December.
I just checked in with him last week and I said, are you ready for the board meeting? And he said, no, I haven't heard. He says, but it's gonna be all set. We're gonna get the information we need. I should be all set, should be ready for you for the January meeting.
Okay, perfect.
And
And I
those,
said, that worries me. Are we gonna be, if you do it, we're gonna be done by June 30th.
Yeah,
And
right.
He said, oh, yeah, that, easy peasy.
Okay.
yeah,
I love that, Glenn.
I'm a guy who waits to have his boat launched every year and I have to put up with the weather in May and April. Well, again, there's nothing we can do without, do we know if they're gonna have to dig up any of the brickwork out there, any of the stonework?
Probably to put those pilings in,
Yeah.
I'm imagining, or they're going to do it right outside the brickwork.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, outside the stones.
Yeah.
Let me see, wasn't.
Wow.
I thought he said he wasn't going to have to.
so it's right outside, I
I think
believe.
it was in the drawer.
I think he may have said something like
He'll
that.
tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He'll know.
question for him.
Well, we will see what happens. Okay, can we go over the minutes from last month? Any issues on that?
Make a
We
motion to
accept
accept the minutes?
You get a second?
Second.
On the motion, discussion on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's material.
And now can we go through the treasurer's report? So we have a couple this month.
Yeah, we have the 2-page report. Top page is just is all departments, and second page is strictly the grants, just to clarify that. So we are at expenditures for the general fund, we're 27,611, which is on budget. The remaining balance, we've spent 40% of our budget for the 5-month period, so we're right where we really should be. Within the grants, we did receive the first installment, which is 50% of the formula grant that we're expecting for fiscal year '24. That's what that 15,106 is. The remaining is expected in January. And how we're going to spend it, I know that's a continuing thing, so maybe we can talk about that when Nancy does her report. Expenditures out of the grant column, as you'll see on the next page, are for the formula grant, and they represent a couple of payments that were made for the Safe Driver program and to the National Council on Aging. The carryovers, when I do that reconciliation at the bottom of the page, they still have not yet completed that adjustment. They made an adjustment. All the other carryovers came out well within the gift accounts, which is critical. But within the grant accounts, we don't understand what they were doing with those. So we're meeting potentially Wednesday morning at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, whatever it was, with the new town accountant. Hopefully she'll be familiar with the information enough that
she can
we'll be able to
explain
bring
it
it
to
up
us. Sure.
to
we're
her.
hoping.
But to your knowledge, the state hasn't come back in to take back that formula grant additional amounts. So somewhere it's in the books. We just don't see it on our
Right.
books. All righty. Within revolving fund, we're at a negative 113.94 year to date. I think that's really just because there was for some reason, I didn't see any receipts being posted after November 9th. So between the 9th and the 30th, but the expenses all got paid. So I think that's just a temporary timing issue. Gift and donations, the receipt of 5,000, the expenditure of 1184, all relate to the social worker grant coming in and going out. And that's it. Any questions, comments?
It's Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Good morning. How are you?
Hi.
How much money do you think is going to be left over? Is it like 10 or 20,000? Is there enough to pay for that pergola?
We've got the 50,000 in total. What's the ECO? No, 25,000 under that ECO earmark that we were just talking about we have to spend in order to get that grant. Within the gift accounts, we have a carryover, within the formula grant, we have, it's on page 2, but you don't get that probably, a carryover of 24,000. And that's before we pick up the 30,000 for the current year. So there are funds available. We're looking for that 24,000. What happened to it? We don't know.
Okay. So we can pretty much, I'm sure they'll find it.
Yeah. It's in a balance sheet account. We don't get balance sheet accounts.
Okay. Yeah, it's
I
probably
think.
got lumped into somebody else's account, but so we know the money's there. So I would think that we could combine, get that matching grant and use the carryover to be able to do that pergola. Then we don't have to go to CPC.
Right.
Well, we're for the pergola, we were thinking because it's 25,000 plus we were going to need another 25,000 approximately. He said it's about a $50,000 pergola. So that was going to either come from the formula grant or gift account. That was what I think that we had decided. So not going.
I thought
Okay,
that had
and
to do
not
with
go to, okay.
I thought that had to do with the excess for the van.
No, if you're looking at your numbers, that's the furthest column out on the first page. Capital project, the leftover money, the 34,000.
Oh, okay, 31.
We're not going to be able to do that. That was earmarked for the van at town meeting. If it doesn't get spent on the van, they're going to
Okay.
take it back and put it into the general fund, I'm sure. They just haven't recorded that yet.
So now then on the other page on, DCO earmarked for the pergola,
Yes.
where does that come from? That's just a proposed expense, right?
No, we did get $12,500 back in, I don't know, September?
Yep.
Something like that, from the grant.
From which
is
grant? The 25,000 grant?
ECO, yes. So we got half of it. And then they'll give us the second half once we spend up to, I mean, we'll spend in excess of 25 in all probability, but they'll pay us up to 25,000 once we give them the receipts for the expenditures.
And if we don't do the pergola, this goes back?
Correct.
Okay,
Unless we can find something else.
yeah, unless we can find something else.
Yeah.
Which has to be an outdoor structure, because that's what I told them we were spending it on.
Screening, I think, would count. I think your patio idea would count. I don't know about the bar. Yeah.
The bar
Hope
by the
springs
bocce
eternal.
court.
Canopy over the bocce court.
Oh, this is still way up in the air.
Right, until we hear more on Glenn.
So overall, may I ask you, are we in trouble or are we
Looks
fine?
like we're good.
Terrific.
Once we clear up that 24,000.
We're all set.
30, I'm sorry, yeah, 24,000 the formula.
Anything else you want to bring up?
Nope.
Okay, on the treasury report, all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, can we get
I
a
move.
second? Okay. On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carried, treasurer's report's accepted. Okay. And now the director's report.
All right. And then down this.
I think, oh, this was the old one,
November.
right?
Oh, that was, oh, this is,
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing.
Right.
I was good.
I do too. Maybe Richard, I don't know, maybe you don't have a chance to get this done before Richard sends out the
If you-
attachments. It would be better, I
To
think,
have it
to have it with the
everything
minutes and
else.
with the, that we can get a
The
look
last
at it.
month.
Exactly. Then we have last month's twice, because
Yeah.
we get it at the
Right.
meeting and we also get it in the mailing.
Okay. All right, so I wanted to talk because Patty, as you all know, Patty Smith is doing a fabulous job with our programming, and she's really shooting things out of the park. And what she proposes is a community dinner on May 23rd, which is a Thursday. It's not the Tuesday that we're all used to. And she wants to she wants to contract with a gentleman who does live music of patriotic songs, and thought that maybe if we did the community dinner before it and then had the music afterwards, it would be sometime around Memorial Day. And I know, Rich, you had mentioned something maybe that the DAV or the group that you're
VFW.
VFW would want to do maybe something for the veterans. And that might be a good way if you wanted to provide the food for that, or at least however you wanted to add your input to that, and we could still do it, something to look forward to, plan on a community dinner for that day around that, and it would be in celebration of Memorial Day. So wanted you guys to mull that over, see if you wanted to do something like that.
Well, my plan was not for a dinner. My plan was for a regular lunch. And not lobster rolls, lobster casserole or something along those lines.
Just for veterans, Rich, or what?
No, for everybody,
okay.
but I mean primarily a lunch to
Yeah.
get people who come here every day for lunch, to have that. Opening up the community dinner, just that much more expense. I'd have to
Right,
go back to
because
the
that would be
VFW
more,
on that.
like 60 people, especially if
Uh,
we did lobster, it might be 80,
Yeah.
90 people.
A lot of people.
Well, could that day be just the lunch instead of a dinner, community lunch?
There's really no, I mean, every lunch
I
really is
know it's
open
a
to
Thursday
everybody.
lunch day,
Yeah.
but promote it?
We just wanted to do, well, the dinners, as we know, more people, we get a little bit of a different crowd, on the evenings, so.
Oh, a much larger crowd.
Yeah, and a larger crowd. So we certainly don't have to do that, but we'd like to do the community dinner along with this patriotic songs. That's
it'd be
the
neat.
plan,
I
of doing
I
something a
think
little
that's a
bit
good idea
different.
to.
I think
put
people
the
would
two
really
together.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think they would too. You know, a lot of towns do a veterans dinner or lunch. I was just hearing about what they did in Situate recently. Must have been around Veterans Day,
Veterans
probably.
Day, yeah.
And they get 100 people.
Wow.
Yeah, Hingham is bigger than that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul, I'm just gonna send you a copy of this now, so you can look at what we're looking at.
Now, why the Thursday? What's the,
I think that was the date that the gentleman
Oh,
that she
okay,
wants to do,
okay.
could do.
now that would still be involving you and Dan then, right?
Well, we also.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and we do have that, we
Jim's trying to back out.
Right.
found someone.
Notice how how I laid that out.
This glass.
Smooth, so smooth.
Well, no, I mean, that's a concern.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to commit that far in advance, or what would the other proposal be? Having an outside company come in and?
Yeah, we do have, we spoke with a gentleman who, for the kitchen coordinator job, and
Really?
he'd be willing to do some community suppers or big events. So I think we'd start off with somebody like him.
You have somebody interested in that position?
Yay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's really good. And he's used to large crowds, does not faze him at all. So I'd probably do that.
I know
for
we're
something
jumping
like
ahead,
this.
but if he were to come on board, he or she could come on board, would we open lunch on Mondays as well?
Unlikely.
Why?
Because right now we have cafe in the morning, so they couldn't get in there anyway, and they're there till 11:30. I mean, it's something we have to look at and see the logistics of
Yeah,
how that would
okay.
work, but it just has not even been on the horizon.
Yeah.
If we had not just a kitchen coordinator, but a chef, that might be a consideration.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
the town
okay.
wants to give me a chef.
It's already an issue with people overlapping. Sometimes you have a meal that needs stuff done the day before. Somebody's in there cooking their lunch for that day, and somebody else wants to come in and do stuff they need to get ready for the next day. So adding another day, I think, would just add more chaos to the chaos that exists sometimes already in there.
Well, I was down at Situate, and I wasn't there to eat lunch. I was there to shoot pool. But I couldn't find a parking place.
Yeah.
That is so well
Oh, they're
attended.
very popular.
I just couldn't believe it. And then you gotta go like 2 weeks in advance, I think, to
Yep.
make
Oh,
a
yeah.
reservation.
Yeah, get the waiting list.
But I also heard that the food is excellent, but it's small portions and no dessert. So that's some
And
feedback.
it
as
costs
well.
more.
Yeah, it costs $5.
But the people are getting thinner.
Well, I tell you, I just couldn't get over the crowd. I mean, I was there was obviously nobody up where I was shooting.
Yeah.
The parking was just jammed.
And does Situate have a cook, chef?
Yes,
They
I
do, full-time paid chef.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I guess he's not into desserts, but anyway. So am I jumping ahead on your kitchen person?
We don't need.
Yeah, I'm not ready. Yeah, we're trying him out for different things before we put him on the position.
What is it you want him to do if he's not gonna be the chef?
Well, he won't be, we still have volunteers as chefs, so I'd need him to be kind of coordinate the kitchen, make sure that the volunteers are following serve safe protocols, make sure that we have all the right supplies on hand, making sure everything in the kitchen is in good working order. If we need to have a new, clean the stove, if something goes wrong, he's kind of, just make sure somebody who knows what they're doing in the kitchen is overseeing it, because we've got nobody right now, except for poor Liza, who is kind of overseeing everything, and
So
she's
Rich,
not.
for instance, one of the volunteers said to me, you come in there and there's spices, there aren't, what
Yeah.
you need is not there.
It's
And then-
chaos.
Yeah, and it's really makes it
We
really
needed somebody to
difficult for
look at
somebody who's
inventory.
volunteering their
Mhm.
time
Right,
and some of them their money to do it, and then they get here and they have to
Yeah.
go run to the store and get
Yeah.
something that they should be here. And so that's where they thought, coordinator would really be helpful.
And it's just a part-time job?
Yes.
Okay.
what's amazing is that it's worked as well as it has
I
up
know.
until.
That's it, you don't notice
Given
it.
the fact that it's all volunteers,
Yeah.
Right.
because everybody's doing their own thing and there's nothing that's cohesive about it. so.
Yeah.
But it still manages to work somehow.
It's a tribute to the volunteers.
Yes, it is.
100%. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. So we have, it has worked when we limp by and it comes out on the other end beautifully, but it is sometimes a challenge and if we could make things easier for people. I have somebody who's not duplicating. Sometimes too, people don't realize that we might already have garlic powder. They might
Right.
buy more. We
Right.
have,
Mhm.
olive oil
Mhm.
and they buy another big thing of
Or
olive
it
oil.
gets
So-
put in a different place every
Yes.
time.
Right.
You don't know where,
So
and
we just need somebody to know what they're doing in there.
Mhm.
So as a visiting chef, you would appreciate this.
oh, I think it would be a great addition.
Okay, good, good. Terrific.
And the funding, I know it's not.
It's going to be on the formula grant.
It's on the
That's what
formula
we're-
grant, so the
that's what we're
funding is
hoping.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Good.
So the chef, actual cooks is still an issue.
Yes.
Volunteer
More.
Yes.
cooks.
Right, we could always use more. But that's why this person that we're interested in could fill in for those times. So it's not like, oh no, what do we do without a chef? So it will work out in a lot of different fronts. All right, you all know that we have the suggestion box out there. We did get a suggestion that,
That was from me.
was that from you? Okay.
I hate to go to the post office. It's so
Oh, it's
dangerous.
dangerous in and out.
My
Oh,
husband
yeah.
fell on his face and I
Oh.
saw an elderly not, let's call him advanced middle age, and fall flat on his face and break his glasses.
Wow.
Mm.
And I don't go there very often.
No, I don't either. I got backed into $2,000 worth of damage.
Wow.
Oh,
I hate to go there. So I put in that suggestion, couldn't we have a box
Good
here? It
idea.
would be a lot
Great
easier for us
idea.
seniors.
Right.
So
We
where
have an
is this?
outgoing mailbox. We have an outgoing mail holder. So you can put your mail there and
Yeah.
then when the mailman comes, he'll take the mail that's there. But we're also putting in the Vista, the question and the answer. But you can drive right by town hall and put it right near the
Yeah,
town
that's what
hall
I
has a
did.
But it only
mailbox.
goes out at 9:00.
Mhm.
Once a day. When
In
does
the morning.
when does this guy come here?
Usually in the afternoon, like 3:00 in the
Yeah.
afternoon,
Hmm.
he's here. Um,
I think that'd be good for people to know.
Yes.
About what time.
That or suggest they do 2 pickups at town hall. I don't know if it warrants it,
I don't either. It's basically for them, I guess.
because I use
I know
town hall
that's-
too.
I use town hall just for
Yeah,
town
I-
hall business though, like
Oh,
real
no, I use
estate
it for mail
taxes.
also.
Yeah,
Well,
but there's
I
a
didn't
mailbox
know
there
it
too.
took-
Oh, there's a
There's a
separate
separate
mailbox, but
mailbox.
it pick up at 9
But,
o'clock.
but,
And the
but
good
they
thing is you
reversed the
drive.
mailbox. It used to be you could sit in your car and.
Yeah.
Now you
Well,
gotta-
yeah, I have to get out.
None of that anymore.
How-
Nothing, can't be convenient, nothing.
That's
of
right.
that
how
anymore.
dumb is that? I,
If it's working, let's stop
one
it.
that worked, they got rid of it,
That's
put in
right.
one that doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
True. You have to
I
open
like
the
the idea of having it
Is
here.
that for safety?
I think it's so people
it's
can't
being
put
stolen?
things in there. No, or I think they're worried about people putting
can't put a
explosives
bomb
in
in
the
there.
mailbox.
Or even large parcels that are maybe should have
Yeah.
walked
Wow.
up to.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. Okay, next up, the new van. So
Are you kidding?
I know. I hated to even write it all down, but there have been complaints about the van ever since we made the adaptions to the van because it's still not an easy. The 2019 vans that we have are still not easy to get in and out of because people have to still first of all, they're not high. That's why everybody likes van 4, which is the wheelchair accessible van. It's got the height, you can walk up the steps, and it's just, people prefer that just because it's very old and continue to fall apart on us. So, I brought it to they're asking for capital funds, and I said, well, in a perfect world, I need a new van. And instead of throwing me out of the room, Michelle, the assistant town manager, was very agreeable to listen to what I had to say.
Why did it take you so long to come up with that adjective?
I was gonna say happy, I'm like, it's not really the word, agreeable was the thing, so she's agreed to put it on capital, to do that, because if we could sell one of the vans, she thought that the schools might need it, maybe they'd buy one of the 2019 vans off of us, and then we wouldn't have that much more, well, the town would still have to come up with more, but if it was gonna be better for the seniors, then, and we're still hoping to keep the old, per the suggestion of former Chief Bob Sylvia, to keep the old van 4 as a backup in case we do need it. Instead of giving it back to surplus and having only one wheelchair accessible van, we'll have the 2. And then this new van, if we get it, is going to be something that's comfortable. We can take trips outside of town that people are comfortable driving in. So it's all up in the air. I did talk to Bob Sylvia. He said he'd be happy. So maybe you and Bob can talk, Paul, if you're willing to do this, because he said he'd also talk at Capitol and in support of it and why we need it, that kind of thing. So
Okay, yeah, I've been doing the vehicles for quite some time, and capital budget has been somewhat receptive to it. You know, we ended up getting 2 vans last go around instead of 1. So the question will be, you know, why all of a sudden do we need this one? Why didn't we get it back in 2019 will be their question. But for right now, it is what it is. I know Rec always wanted to have one of those, a van like those, so they could put stuff in it and transport people to different fields. So that, you know, if the school's not going to buy one, then, you know, maybe Rec would want to take one as well. So we know we're getting the new wheelchair van in June, perhaps.
right.
So, you know, what we could do is we can basically go in front of them with a nice plan that shows that we haven't asked for any money from them for this wheelchair van outside of the 20 or 25% deposit. And they were willing to put 60,000 aside for us. So perhaps the leftover, you know, 30 or 40,000 that they set aside for us could be used towards this new van.
Right. It's
That'd be great.
34,000.
Yeah.
It's sitting there and it would be a perfect, I would think, already
Right.
approved for van, bring it up to town meeting and they add the additional amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would, we would have to see if the school would pay, you know, from the 80,000 of the van minus the 35 that's sitting there, the school would have to pay 45, which would be a bargain for them. But I don't know what they beat to a different drum up there. So I don't know. They have their own, you know, wants and needs. So I'm not sure what the van is on anybody's list up there. So we'd have to find.
Does the concern from seniors, does this bring up any issues on the van that we ordered? Isn't it the same van?
No.
No.
Ford Transit?
No,
So the
Which-
van that we,
The
Paul,
wheelchair van should be like van 4 now, you know, so we step into it,
Right.
it's got the
Okay.
wheelchair lift and all that, yeah.
Okay.
it's just being able to walk into it. Right now, they have to, we did, you know, made a little bit of, we made the step, and we had the handrails, but they're still pulling themselves up. They're still tucking themselves under. It's more like, you know, for people who have limited mobility, it's not an easy way to get in. So preferable
But the one that's on order would
has everything
alleviate
we
that.
want.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we're just looking for another one like we just ordered, but we don't need the wheelchair accessibility.
Right, a lot of the surrounding towns have, you know, a higher population than we do, and not that the number of people matters, but most of those towns have like 2 of those types of vans that you would see at the airport, you know, where you just easily step from the curb into the van.
Yeah.
So, you know, since you mentioned this a couple of months ago, I kind of was checking out other elder affairs vans as I drive from Cohasset to Wilmington every day, so I see them a lot. And so there are a lot of those small step vans. So it would make sense to get something now that we have a growing population. You know, so maybe some of the the younger end of the population for us would utilize the vans, no problem at all. We can get around to CVS and Stop and Shop, that kind of thing. But if we have the other one, that accommodates probably a higher level of population of seniors. So,
Well,
yeah,
I think again, if we're gonna offer a possibility of a future daycare, that's another opportunity, right? Because again, it'd be limited mobility, so. And I would assume that if we did open an adult daycare, we would have to provide transportation.
Right in town.
Not necessarily.
Not,
Unnecessarily.
$30 a day, this is
And it is a social thing. It's not,
a lot to ask.
there's a difference between daycare and a social status.
I mean,
The
it
bar.
is something that we could offer depending on
Yeah.
if we have the resources for it. I wouldn't rule it out, but it's,
But I mean, the population that would use the van would probably be more disabled than
I would probably
currently,
guess that.
yeah, so
At least frail.
that would be a benefit.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bobby Sylvia is the driver, I mean, he probably sees a lot of the,
100%.
yeah.
All right, moving on, just so that you guys are all aware, we have new policies now. Especially reflexology, the nails, the massage, the garden workshops are so popular that people go 1 month and then they just say, okay, book me for January, February, March, in advance. And by the time, there's just no new people because they don't have a chance to sign up. By the time they are aware of it, it's already booked. So we've done a new thing. You can't sign up that far in advance. You now will have to wait until the first of the month, and then
Okay.
sign up for your, the session that you want. I think it's going to be more fair and a good way to offer it to more people, so. It might take a little getting used to for people, especially the people who are used to, putting it on their schedule. They know, Tuesdays they're doing reflexology or massage or whatever, and they already have it booked up, but it is going to be able to open it up to more people.
Is there any chance of these people coming more often?
What people.
The massage people and the,
We have, every once in a while, we get somebody to do a second day of the month,
got one, thank
but they're very busy and they've got going to other senior centers or other things. So when we can get them a second day of the month, we do. But for the most part, they are booked in other areas.
so can you call at midnight and leave a message?
And then,
Sure.
I guess
Yeah,
if you want
that-
to stay up till midnight, I guess so. If we see that it says 12:01, I guess so.
Okay.
You could probably do it at
Right.
4:15 too.
An insomnia, Marcia?
Why don't we charge a little more?
What's that?
We charge a little more.
Yeah, we could probably charge a little
Since
more.
they're so wildly popular.
Yeah, right. But I don't want to,
Capitalist.
I don't
You don't
want to
wanna-
make this for the people who can afford it. you
Yeah,
know, you
that's
know?
right.
I think that's why they're so popular, because they're such a service that people really want, and sometimes in some cases really need. And I don't want to exclude anybody in saying, oh, sorry, you
How much
can't
do we
afford it.
charge for a massage?
$30 for 30 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a great deal, and she's wonderful. Well, if anybody here
Yeah.
who's used her, I heard she's awesome. And reflexology, same thing, so. We're having, and also a new, a birthday, sorry?
A thing like a massage or reflexology could be a shorter session. I know you can't hurry nails, but another idea.
Yeah.
More
Shorten
patrons
it,
could
maybe
enjoy the
more people come.
services.
Right.
I've gone to silly, like a birthday party or an event, and they might do a 5-minute massage or 10, or, for example, and then everyone can have a moment. It's in a chair. I don't know what. Anyway, just some ideas.
Second Thursday of the month, we're going to have anybody who lets us know it's their birthday month, we'll sing happy birthday and have kind of acknowledge it, so
Oh,
that
nice.
the ones who are, especially our regulars who come here, and then people who may not tell us it's their birthday, we don't acknowledge because we don't know, or we forget, or whatever. So I think it would be a nice way that people like to, sometimes there's no other person singing happy birthday to them or saying happy birthday to you. So hopefully that's going to be well received. I have a feeling it will be. Upcoming, I want everybody to be aware, I know most of you come to the Rusty Skipper concert. It's always a big event here, December 19th at 7:30. We'll have them back here. And speaking about the programming and how well Patty's doing, we have Lyle Nyberg, Summer Suffragists. It's a Situate author who, I guess Situate was a place where they had a lot of people looking for the women's right to vote, I believe is the story is all about. So it ought to be interesting. And that's on January 10th at 1:00. We did reach 388 individuals last month for over 1,200 repeat visits to Wilcott Commons. 61 individuals received rides to shopping, Wilcott Commons, or errands. 23 were for medical rides on the electric vehicle. So
When you give that
Good
number, 388, that's not new. It wouldn't be new,
right,
but,
not new, but
right.
means we only counted them one time.
So they had to register for something, I guess.
Yes, so they came in for either yoga, reflexology, men's group.
Something.
And then if they come in again, then they're a duplicate visit and they get counted into the 1,246.
Oh, within that day or within the
For the month.
program? Oh, for the month.
Right.
Okay.
So
got it.
300 individuals.
Yeah.
Like each of us will be counted once.
Once, okay,
Right, but if we come in for more than one thing, we're gonna.
Okay.
which makes sense. 4 times a week, people are coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People usually, repeat visitors here, which is
Right.
wonderful. But we're getting a lot of new people because of the new programming that's coming on. People who never would have walked in the door, or people who thought, oh, the senior center, I wouldn't, I don't
I'm not
go
old
there.
enough.
Yeah.
Those
I'm
are
not
old
old
people.
enough. Exactly. So we're getting people to start looking at us in a new way, and we really need to build up the younger seniors so that by the time they really need us, at 70, 80, they know about us. They're not like, oh, what's the senior center? So that's our thought process of getting the younger
The
crowd in
boomers.
here. So by the
Bring
time,
those boomers
yeah,
in.
when there's plenty of boomers out there. Yeah. Somebody have any questions for me?
Yeah, did you end up getting the Valor Act applications?
Yes, we did
Okay.
print those out.
Now, I wanted to bring the have you seen it?
I've submitted one.
Okay, good, because it doesn't say anything about trust fund.
No
house.
details. at all.
I know. I don't know whether that's being absorbed or not. I mean, it's a state regulation. But put the application in, we'll see what
Right,
happens.
well, we'll see what happens. So far, nothing, crickets. I don't know.
I know. I get the same feeling, so, and I'm suspicious to begin with.
And do we have the forms here, Nancy? Because Jeff
They're on-
asked me to find.
They're
out about it today.
online. You can
They're on-
access.
Yeah, but
them
there's
on the
supposed to
town.
be physical copies here too,
Oh, are they?
that we bring up to the office upstairs.
So you can do it either way. You can go online and send it in, email it, but for those of you who do not use online or it's not easy for you, we have a supply here so that people could pick it up and still send it over to the.
Well, I'm gonna fill out a paper one because I did it as well online, got no confirmation that anything went through. So I'm gonna do the paper thing as well.
Probably.
I don't wanna give many excuses.
You can be ignored 2 different ways.
That's right, that's right. So we'll see what happens with that. But on the application, it didn't say anything about the trust fund. Now,
No.
whether they're gonna try to absorb that or not, I don't know.
And then how do you prove, for instance, I was like, Jeff drives for fish, so that's what the hours he was gonna submit. So how do you prove?
Well,
How does that
my
happen?
understanding, and everything keeps changing, but my understanding is you're gonna fill in your time as if you were a town employee. So you submit your hours to the town, I guess through you, if the
Someone must have to
veterans working
certify
here.
that you did it.
Yeah, certified that you did, and then the town keeps track of all that stuff. But that's the last I heard before I was cut out of the planning stage.
So it's each department. So Jeff, because it's under senior center, would make sure I am aware of the hours that he does.
Through this town, through the way you keep
With
hours
the
for
way
you.
I keep the hours.
I mean, but as an employee, right?
That's not what I was told.
Okay.
I just give them we'll probably even do it on the kiosk, because then we could do it, we can, make sure, or they could give it to me directly. We'll have to figure out some way that we do that.
Right.
But then I submit at the end, like if there's 3, 4 people, I then submit it, say Jim Murphy, 10 hours, Jeff Nothnagel, 8 hours or whatever. I submit it to the, I believe I'll send it to the VSO, and then he collects everything from every department and submits it to the assessor's office. That's my understanding until they tell me differently.
You probably will be told differently, but I don't, I don't know what those new instructions are gonna be. Now, how many, I know you've offered some positions here. What positions have you offered?
For volunteer chefs, drivers, front receptionists at the front desk, instructors.
The drivers you're paying though, right?
We
Not
do
all
have
of
them.
volunteer
Fish drivers.
as well.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
We'd love some volunteer instructors. You know, we know that this town is teeming with intellectuals, somebody who could teach a class, history class or something on current events or whatever. So we'd love to get somebody like that who could teach a class or those are the kind of things that we're looking for, something that's a little bit different outside of the box.
Now, did you expect me or Phil to figure out who you get, or do you want to interview the
We
individual
want to
people?
interview them. We want to make
Okay.
sure it's a good fit. So,
Okay, okay.
I have not heard anything from Phil, so once he sends to me and says, you know, these are the people who said that they'd like to work at the senior center, we'll figure out where it would be a good fit, talk to them, and then.
How many hours they're willing to participate?
Right,
Okay,
because
that's
some
good.
places, we're not gonna have, you're not gonna fill up 100 hours.
Right.
We'll do the best we can to give
Okay.
them enough hours.
Well, this thing has been a boondoggle from the start, so we'll see how it finally ends up. And what's interesting, Hull's had this operation now for 2 years. They have 0 people doing it.
Wow.
Really?
Hingham's had it for 6 years. They've got 2 people doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That tells me they're not promoting it very
but
well.
not only not promoting it, I think
But
they're
not
putting a lot of,
implementing it.
they're putting a
They
lot
don't
of
want people to do it.
roadblocks.
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Like us was supposed to start last July.
Yeah.
And it's
I-
not being promoted now.
I heard Norwell saying that they've had it for like 10 years
Mm.
and 40 people and it's booming.
Wow.
So I do
Wow.
think
Yeah.
it
I have
Something.
friends in Norwell who did
Yeah,
it.
well, I know in
It wasn't
Norwell, one
just
of,
veterans though. Norwell is
seniors.
seniors.
oh, okay,
Seniors.
all right.
But I have, yeah, she and her husband both do it in Norwell, you know, and she worked in the library. It's like the maximum number of hours as a volunteer.
It's a great way to encourage
It is.
volunteering
Yeah.
though, as
Right.
well
Come
as
on, I can
saving
do
some money.
Well,
Sure.
one thing I know in Norwell, they have the program where people, apparently they have a big,
100 hours.
Wheels on Meals.
Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, and so
Wheels
people
on
who
Meals.
pack the meals or something like that, do we do that?
Wheels on Wheels, yeah, got that too.
Another opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Well, no, there's no specifics about whether it's a taxable
Do we have a meeting in January?
remuneration or not.
Well, no, you do have to pay.
I think federal, but not
Well,
state.
it
No,
depends
you're
on how they.
not paying social security. You pay some, I don't know what it's called, but it's 3 or 4 initials in Cohasset for an employee that there's some, aside from social security and normal stuff you have to pay, your insurance, there's some other 3 or 4 letter thing that they take a deduction out of your pay.
Of course it is.
As a town employee,
Yes.
you don't pay social security as a town.
Well, okay, whatever, you pay
You
this
pay this
thing,
other thing.
like on
Yeah.
15, on a $15 an hour thing, I think it's like $2.
Oh, yeah,
Did
you
they
pay, you
take
pay,
it?
I think they're making you, the
EMP.
volunteers pay Oprah.
Oprah, that's what
Oprah,
it is.
yeah.
And what does
Yeah.
Oprah stand for?
Omnibus
Oprah?
Reconciliation
Oprah
Act.
Winfrey.
Don't ask me what it means. But that's what, so I think it's like, I'm not sure if it's, maybe Paul, you would know more than I, is it like workman's comp or, I don't know, something to, I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
one
they
of-
are making everybody.
Well, one of the new taxes that are there is the Paid Family Leave Act, so that the PFLA stuff is out there. So there's a new tax that's on everybody's payroll, which is money comes out of your check every week, like the Social Security does. It goes into a fund. So if you want to utilize the Family Leave Act, the money is there to be able to take the money out.
But I don't think that's being affected by this, the tax work off. I think it's, there,
It's
I don't know
Oprah
if they're
thing.
adding that. I think it's the Oprah, that tax that they are making everybody pay into, which.
This is starting to sound like The Sopranos.
Well, that's what I mean. They're putting all these,
You taste
they're
of
putting all these
Yeah, it must be a-
roadblocks.
But that's the state, not the
Yeah.
town.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
it must be a
state, okay.
municipal. Yeah, it's not private industry. It's probably municipal version of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the idea is that you don't, for 100 hours, you don't get $1,500 off your taxes. You get something less off your taxes. So it'd have to be 110 or 115 hours to get the full amount.
I asked that question. I was told you can't do that to get the full 50.
I
So
think
it's up
based
to
on,
15, but you can't get it.
Right.
See what I mean, roadblocks? Yeah.
I think based on the PowerPoint presentation we had on the town hall, they need a couple of handyman over there. So
Oh, that's what this is about.
I wouldn't worry about the number of hours. Plenty of hours for a handyman at the town hall.
All you want.
High school needs a new roof.
Another thing I noticed is when we had to cancel cornhole last week, we got a notice from Patty, and it was fine. I mean, obviously going to need another notice today because nothing go on tomorrow. But it was odd. It was just the highlight on the mail was notice, and it didn't. And luckily I went a little further. And I saw it was CEA. So I don't know if those notices, although I appreciate them coming out, if they could be a little more descriptive.
You might just think it was spam if you just saw notice.
Yeah.
And also have the email addresses changed?
Yes.
.org,
Oh,
they're
dot-
now all dot,
Gov.
.gov and not
They're all
.org.
.gov, yeah.
Oh.
Name is the same.
But there's gotta be a little interim time that'll,
They took everybody, yeah. So if you still send anything to me or the staff under .org, it's going to go to .gov.
It was .org in the first place. That's kind of,
It's it has been .org, now it's .gov.
should have probably always been.
Yeah, you got a letter, didn't you? Everybody
Yes.
got a letter.
yes.
Anything else?
Nothing from me.
Any questions for Nancy? Can I get a motion on accepting director's report?
So moved?
Oh, second?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Approved? Okay. So now just general discussion. Anybody have anything? Nothing?
Well, I don't know, I just might be interested. I think as a result of the rabble rousing that our CHA board did a year and a half ago,
I'm sorry, CHA?
State Housing Authority.
Okay.
Yeah. There have been some dramatic changes in how the state is dealing with housing authorities, which is good, a good thing. For instance, the state came up with a large amount of money that our director applied for, like before he even hit the computer. And we were able to hire people from the Taunton Housing Authority to come in and rehab 12 apartments at 16th
Oh,
Street
great.
at the state's
Wow.
expense.
Nice.
Wow,
That's
great.
really nice.
Which is, and that was one of our biggest problems because we didn't have a permanent maintenance person. Now we do, but he was just getting started. We just didn't have the personnel to rehab the empty apartments. Now we have. So, and then the other thing is that they took over the CHAMP list, the waiting list. And for the most part, that's been helpful. They're doing the certification of things at the state level, so that we don't have to do all the certifications of people on the list before we offer an apartment. So we've been able to place several people
Oh, good.
in there, and we'll continue. We have, more coming in this month, so.
But again, it's still state people, not Cohasset people.
Well, no, that was the next thing I was gonna tell you. Almost everybody that has come in has been a local,
Oh, good.
which is
Great.
excellent, yeah.
Nice.
So
And the
our
state
filtering.
directed it that way? Or you
No,
somehow
no,
finagled it?
it's like this, and not everything has been perfect, but Colleen now is, she's aware, we're not, the board's not supposed to know anything, but we do say, look out for this person, there are these people from Cohasset that need help. And like she went onto the list about one of these people and they didn't have him marked as a veteran. And he was a veteran and she went but now she's able to go in and change that.
Wow, great.
So that moved him from number 300 to number 1,
Wow, great.
Cohasset veteran.
Right.
So, so that's good. I think that within another couple of months, we will be filled up. And we just had a Christmas party last week, which I thought was very interesting. We had one last year and everybody that came, which was about half of the tenants, were people who had been there a long time. This year, about half the tenants, they were all new, all new tenants.
Wow.
But not all new, but many new tenants, and they were all locals.
Hmm.
So, and they knew each other. It was just
Great,
really
that's
nice.
fun, yeah.
Sense of community was very nice. Like they were all good friends in high school and,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. Awesome.
So I think we're really making good progress, and we have a fabulous new young maintenance man that they all love, and I think he'll be there hopefully long-term. He's got a history of,
Great.
his father works for Housing Authority, his brother works for Housing Authority, so
good.
it's like, you know, he knows, you know, how things happen there, so,
So the apartments are full.
not yet, but they will be.
Right,
within
that's
a couple of
terrific.
months, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
It
That's
still
nice.
takes a lot, you know, and so we'll see, yeah.
That's great
Good.
news.
Probably, when the big one happens, you'll know. I think it'll be all of them, you know? And the Legion did that Christmas party. They funded it. They couldn't do it. They said they didn't, they used to do a Christmas party for us on a dinner, big whole turkey dinner and the whole thing and presents for everybody. For years they did it, but then it stopped before COVID or at COVID. And they don't have the personnel to do it anymore, but they did fund it and we had it all, got it all from the Stop and Shop with their money. It was very good.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Well,
To adjourn.
I'll entertain a motion, and we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Hi.
Yeah.
Opposed? We are adjourned.